Hello everyone, I'm Chris Mozillo, Swellingson, and let's talk about expansions, shall we? I mean, specifically, I refer to expansions in MMOs and MOBAs and Destiny, which is pretty much an MMO. Now, you may be wondering why I've suddenly decided to start talking about expansions and bring them up. Well, it's because my current MMO of choice has decided to finally announce that it's actually selling its expansion. Yes, Guild Wars 2's Heart of Thorns had finally been announced back in, March. Thus, players had all flocked back to the game with newly piqued interest, and I was one of them, having had not played the game for about a year now. However, it would seem that the game would somewhat ground to a halt, with new events that the game had been well known for no longer really happening. What was once or twice monthly events had seemingly just dried up and no longer were happening. So clearly maybe ArenaNet was just putting a lot of force into making this new expansion. So maybe the expansion was soon. So far, still nothing. Still not a release date. However, the expansion can now be pre-purchased, and following a very successful "hey, we just announced an expansion, why not now buy the game on the cheap" sale, it turns out that the lowest option for buying the expansion contains the base game itself. But last I checked, the FAQ said I needed the base game. Oh, that's not right. It would appear that ArenaNet have pulled a fast one on us, announced a new expansion, have a big sale, have an FAQ that informs that you need the base game in order to actually play the expansion, and then in the months of tenuous information reveals, watches new players come and swarm to the game, all ready for this new expansion experience. And then, once you put it up for pre-purchase, just go, "Oh, hey guys, by the way, if you get the expansion, which is the only way to buy the base, the game now, you get a free base game." What do you mean we misled you? It says so in our FAQ that you get a free copy. Ha 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 ha. This is rather bullshit, and really kind of made worse when a spokesperson from ArenaNet said in a Eurogamer interview, they used the term, but the people who felt misled, no shit they felt misled, because they were misled. This is misleading 101. Sure, you can now refund your game if you're one of the people who felt they were misled during those massive sales in the run-up to the expansion. However, if you've actually played the game a fair amount, you may not actually want to refund because, well, you're going to lose your account and your character, and all that time you spent in it. Honestly, that was one of the larger issues with this expansion. Sure, I could go on to talk about how this free copy of the base game that's included in the expansion is obviously inflating the price, meaning that veteran players who've long since bought the game kind of end up having to pay a small fortune for something that they already own in order to just get the expansion. And well, actually, I think I will just do that now. When you see the £35 price point for the expansion, which includes a free copy of the base game, you wouldn't be wrong for thinking, well, okay, how much do I have to pay for the actual expansion on its own? And well, the answer is £35, because that's the only way you can buy the game and the expansion now. I don't think you'd be wrong for thinking that the free copy of Guild Wars 2 that comes with it, that was originally selling for £10 to £30 prior to this expansion, might just be inflating the price of this expansion just a small bit. Sure, it's great for new players, but veterans don't actually really get anything other than being able to buy the game for a second time and not actually getting the game. Sure, they've now added that veteran players who pre-purchase the game get a free character slot, what with there being a new class coming out and it has been 2 to 3 years since release. But still, that's only if you pre-purchase, and you're still paying for the game itself. The base game is still there. Honestly, I really like Guild Wars 2. I'm a big fan of its business model being in the one-time purchases, and then having a microtransaction system that doesn't really have that big of an impact on the game, and it's mostly cosmetic items or utility items which are just there for ease of access, as well as all the free content updates they created throughout the entire game, I am more than willing to spend money on an expansion. However, I'm not more than willing to have to buy a game for a second time. A game that I already own for a second time. That's something I do exclusively for Final Fantasy games. Had they just had the base expansion available without the fucking free copy of the game, and had it like £5 cheaper, no one would have really batted that much of an eyelid. I wouldn't have. I'd be a bit more, I'd be less cynical, still expensive, but I wouldn't have to be buying something for a second time in order to get just content. One of the major issues is that we don't really know anything about what's going to be inside this expansion. We've only gotten very few tiny bits of information which they've drip-fed us over the many months of trying to hype this for us. And I know that a lot of people will be sniggering, going like, haha, that's why you don't pre-order games. I know better than everyone. Yeah, like, way to go, great, you're just so much better than everyone. However, if this continues on until release, then, like, this whole price and whatnot, it just doesn't seem worth it for what we've been informed right now. A few new maps, a new class of players, a mastery system that seems to mostly work on the new maps and the new stuff, and then, like, PvP stuff and guild halls that no one really cares that much about. But for £35? Jesus! That's how much the base game cost when it came out. And there was loads in that game. For £35, I expect so much more. Like, I don't know, maybe they'll release, announce something significant in the seemingly many months to come when they might actually release the game. Like, I don't know, like, every character now has my face on it, and is voiced by Troy Baker. That'd be great. However, ArenaNet also had some rather foreboding comments in the interview with Eurogamer, where they said that in the future, when they release new expansions, they plan on, obviously, tying them all together, so you get previous expansions, the core game, and the new expansion, all in one purchase, and that's just how it will be. Which seems to suggest that, as time goes on, the game's just going to get progressively more and more expensive as you get free copies of the previous stuff. Meaning veteran players who might buy the game now and the expansion now, when the next one comes along, what, are they just going to have to buy that stuff again, for the second time for the expansion and the third time for the base game? What the fuck, are they not going to ever sell expansions on their own? Even World of Warcraft doesn't do that. If you buy World of Warcraft now, you get World of Warcraft and all the expansions that came with it, minus the most recent one, which is like £20. Sure, it's like £10 a month still. However, when you come across as more money grubbing than fucking WoW, something has gone wrong. My view is generally this: if you're going to do an expansion, either release the expansion and have it up for pre-purchase separately from the base game, and that way people can just fucking buy in on it, and anyone who gets in on that pre-expansion hype won't feel completely shafted, or have it up, really, announce it and put it for pre-purchase, and have a good, massive amount of information available, so everyone fucking knows what they'll be getting almost immediately when you start asking for money. Give people actual hard figures instead of, there might be some new maps in a new area or something. Yeah, it'd be cool. When you have to take into account that within the last 3 years of this, or Guild Wars 2 being out, they've only had 3 maps out, which 2 of which were in the last, within a few months of each other, and 2 of the maps were shit. Obviously, I still feel that it's bullshit if you're going to be in a subscription-based game and still charge money for an expansion, but at least have the decency to have a lot of information available for when you actually start asking for people's money. Even Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, Heavensward. In Heavensward, even I knew that there's going to be a fucking whale boss in that game. I mean, it's 10 out of 10, best game. Don't even play it. 10 out of 10. Best game EU West. It is £30 and you still have to pay £10 a month to play it. But still, I know what I'd be getting if I was getting that expansion months before it came out. But yeah, with free-to-play games and one-charge games, sure, charge away for your expansions, ask for money, but you don't really have any other way of getting money other than just shipping off bits of content in weird freemium-based systems or just having a bit of a broken game. Even Bungie's Destiny had a similar issue to Heart of Thorns. With The Taken King, people were annoyed because in the collector's edition for the expansion there were going to be some unique emotes that you could only get in the, or some other bollocks that you could only get in the collector's edition. But also in the collector's edition was the base game itself, so people got annoyed that they'd have to be purchasing another copy of the base game, essentially, so they could get these emotes. And people were annoyed by this. About emotes. But still, what Bungie realised was that they were dumb, and decided to also sell this like extra collector's edition digital content separately. I mean, for a ridiculous price of like 20 fucking quid for some emotes, but you can now get it separately because they realised that charging people who own your game yet to buy their game again, was bullshit. It's not that hard of reading it. How hard is it to fucking just go, oh yeah, sorry for making you purchase the game again. Here, why not have the content separately? Even stuff like Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm have started to do expansions now. In the case of Hearthstone, the first one came out like 2 months after the release of the original game, and after costing like £18 to be able to get all of the Curse of Naxxramas stuff, if you were paying, people probably might have been thinking, why wasn't this in the base game, like in the initial release of the game, instead of charging us for content that you're half finished upon release? Just delay your fucking release instead of just adding this like extra content like a day later and being like, that'll be like 20 quid please, thank you, thank you. At least Heroes of the Storm does it in a nicer way in which they take expansion in the more, like, it's just a weird themed content patch. Nothing changes, they just like, you don't have to pay extra for any of it other than the standard like way you acquire heroes being just like any MOBA, well I say any MOBA, like in the standard League of Legends MOBA style where you just pay for a champion if you want. Otherwise, they've just got, here's some new content, it's in the game for free, go fucking wild. That's great. Big thumbs up for that one, that they didn't decide to fucking charge extra for content they're releasing 2 weeks later from release. Once again though, it kind of just boils down to me hating subscription-based MMOs for charging extra for their expansion content, because apparently £120 a year just isn't quite enough for them to be able to keep the ivory tower polished. So, you know, you just gotta like squeeze just a tiny little extra for them. And sure, £35 for Heart of Thorns might be worth it. At the moment, it really isn't. And tacking on a free copy of the base game to every expansion is kind of just spitting in the face of the players who are the sole reason for this expansion even existing in the first place, as they're the ones who bought the game originally. And it also just kind of is a kick in the balls for those who are led into buying the game in all the pre-expansion sales and who are felt misled by what they were saying. Expansion's a tricky business, you know? You've got to work out how much content you're making. Expansion's a tricky business, you know? You've got to work out how much content you're making and then work out how much to charge for that based off of roughly how much you originally charged for the base game and then spent on production. Then add like an additional £10 because why the fuck not? I expect an entire fucking game for that price. And to be honest, I'm just not going to buy it for some time. And I obviously suggest others to do so, or at least hold off until ArenaNet tells us that, I don't know, something actually worthwhile will be in the expansion. Hello everyone, thank you for watching my video. If you liked what you saw, make sure to let me know by liking it or just like telling me in the comment section. If you have any thoughts on the subject matter of expansions, or if you specifically Guild Wars 2, then why not let me know and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. And even if you hated my video, just tell me what you hated about it. I love getting feedback about this sort of stuff. So anyway, thank you and goodbye. Heart of Thorns debacle. What even is it called? Taken King. Even I'm gonna pass out. And then once you actually release the fucking hell. Honestly, I really like Guild Wars 2. It is so hot.